Hey dear friends, welcome to the channel Old Thomas Stories, and today we are going to talk about a fantastic woman, small, slender, but with an enormous willpower, like this.
Imagine it. Ice-cold darkness, a terrible pressure against the chest, and absolute silence. You can move neither arm nor leg. The supply of oxygen in your lungs is dwindling rapidly. You are at an altitude of 6,300 meters, in Everest's death zone, and right now your tent is buried under a layer of snow weighing many tons. This is not a nightmare. This is the reality that Junko Tabei faced during the night between the 4th and 5th of May, 1975. At that moment, the world could have remembered her as just another victim of the roof of the world. But fate had other plans. 12 days later, this woman, who weighed less than 50 kilograms, would do something that would forever change the history of mountaineering. Junko's story began on the 22nd of September, 1939, in the small Japanese town of Miharu. She was born into a large family. As a child, Junko did not look like a future athlete. Frail, sickly, short in stature, teachers and peers considered her a weak child. Her parents, trying to strengthen their daughter's health in some way, sent her to a sports club. But no one, even in their wildest fantasies, could imagine that this girl would become a legend. Everything changed when she was 10 years old. An ordinary school field trip to Mount Nasu, which was only 1,917 meters high, became a portal to another reality for Junko. As she looked down upon the world from the height, she felt for the first time, not fear, but a strange, intoxicating feeling of freedom. While other children complained of fatigue, Junko dreamed of peaks that support the sky. Japan, in the middle of the 20th century, was a country with strict patriarchal traditions. A woman should stay at home, clean, and raise children. This motto was an unofficial law. When Junko, as a student and later as an editor for a scientific journal, began to take mountaineering seriously, she hit a wall of misunderstanding. In 1962, she became a member of mountaineering groups where the core consisted of men. And it was humiliating. The men laughed openly at her, believing that the frail girl had only come to the mountains to find herself a husband. She was not considered a partner, but a burden. Junko did not argue. She acted smarter. In 1969, she founded the Ladies Climbing Club, LCC, under the motto, "Let us go on an overseas expedition by ourselves." The club became a sensation. Even housewives joined, wanting to prove to themselves and the world that they were capable of more than just domestic work. Tabei later admitted that she felt more comfortable in an all-female group. Here, there were no ego battles, only pure cooperation on equal terms. Before they could tackle Everest, Tabei's group first had to make their mark. The choice fell on Annapurna 3 in Nepal. It was a harsh test. The equipment failed due to abnormal cold, and some of the participants developed panic acrophobia, fear of heights. Progress was agonizingly slow. But on the 19th of May, 1970, the world was shaken by the news. The Japanese women's team had made the first female ascent in history of this Annapurna peak. It was a triumph, but for Junko, it was only a prelude. In her head, the plan had already matured. Jomolungma, the highest point on the planet. Everest. If you think that preparation for Everest is all about professional sponsors and piles of money, Junko's story will surprise you. The oil crisis in the 1970s deprived the team of all hope for generous funding. Large corporations declined one after another, accompanied by sarcastic comments. Everest is impossible for a woman. Stay at home and raise your children. But Tabei was a master of the impossible. Of the original group, only 5 were left, but Junko understood. It would take 15 to share the costs and risks. She literally hunted for like-minded women at train stations where amateur mountaineers gathered.
Once the team was assembled, a period of strict frugality began. Each participant chipped in $5,000, enormous sums back then. To save on equipment, Junko showed miracles of resourcefulness. Waterproof gloves she sewed by hand from car seat covers. The hiking pants were cut out of old, thick curtains. Finally, thanks to a loud media campaign, the team was supported by a Japanese newspaper and a television channel. The Ladies Mount Everest Expedition, LMEE, secured its place in history.
May 1975. Camp 2, at an altitude of 6,300 meters. Everything was going according to plan, until nature decided to show its temperament. In the middle of the night, a roar sounded that one never forgets. An enormous mass of snow rushed down upon the tents with the sleeping women.
Junko was covered instantly. She lost consciousness from the blow and lack of air. While other participants and Sherpas fought their way out of the ruins, Junko lay in clinical death for about 6 minutes. The Sherpa, Ang Tsuring, saved her. He intuitively began digging in the right place and literally dragged the Japanese woman's limp body out of the icy captivity. Junko was covered in bruises. She had difficulty breathing, and for 3 days she could not walk. In one of the camps, there was a doctor who insisted that Junko should go down, but she was firmly resolved. After a few days, she stood up. Any other expedition would have turned back after such an incident, but not Junko. "We continue upward," she said shortly. It was a will that could not be broken.
On the way to the summit, a new problem arose: oxygen shortage. The Sherpas began to suffer from altitude sickness, and it became clear only one person from the team would reach the summit. Junko insisted that it should be her friend Yuriko Watanabe. Yuriko, in turn, pointed to Junko. The dispute was settled by the expedition leader, Eiko Hisano, who gave a clear order via the radio. Tabei was to go. The 16th of May, 1975. Junko Tabei and the Sherpa Ang Tsuring take the final steps along the narrow ridge. The air is so thin that every breath feels like a sip of fire. And then, there is no path higher. Before them, the entire planet opened up.
Junko spent only 50 minutes on Everest's summit. She did not shout with joy. She simply did not have the strength. She looked out toward the horizon and felt that the little girl who once stood on Mount Nasu had finally kept her promise. When she returned home, Junko became a national heroine. She became the first woman to climb Everest. The King of Nepal congratulated her personally. A parade was held in Kathmandu, and in Japan, she became the face of a new era. But fame did not spoil her. She used her media attention to speak about environmental problems. Tabei saw how Everest was being turned into a garbage dump, and she personally organized cleanup climbs that cleared the slopes of gas canisters and waste. In 1992, she became the first woman to complete the 7 Summits program by climbing the highest points on all continents. In total, she climbed peaks in more than 70 countries around the world. In 2012, doctors gave Junko a terrible diagnosis: cancer. But even chemotherapy could not keep her at home. She continued to go into the mountains as long as she could move her legs. Her spirit was much stronger than her frail body, which weighed 49 kilograms. On the 20th of October, 2016, Junko Tabei left this world at the age of 77 years. She left behind a world where no one dares to say anymore, "It is impossible for a woman." Junko was often asked how she survived under the avalanche and climbed the summit. She answered simply, Technique and ability do not help you climb Everest, only the strength of the spirit. Her story is a reminder to us all. It does not matter how frail you are or how many people doubt you. If you have a goal and the will to stand up after life's avalanche has covered you, you will surely reach your summit.
And that's how our story ends, dear friends. A story of resilience, courage, and a childhood dream. Drop a comment below if you enjoyed my story and what you think about these events. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any exciting episodes,